Let's first of all see if it's true. Let's go down here and check this guy. Okay. Y equals 1 times 3 to the third power. Right? All I did was take my 3, plug it in for x. 3 to the third power. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Okay, well, sure enough, 27 times 1, bam, 27. Okay, let's go back and let's check this guy. See if it would make any sense. We'd say y equals 1 times 3 to the negative 2. Remember, that is the same as saying 1 times 1 over 3 squared. Remember, all we have to do, negative exponent, put it in the bottom. 3 squared is what? 9, right? So sure enough, 1 over 9 is 1/9 times 1 is just 1/9. Bam, there it is. Okay? But if you really know how this equation is built, you don't have to really do all of this math. What you can do is you can say, okay, look, I know my beginning point, that's 0. My beginning point is going to be 1. Here's the pattern. I'm multiplying by 3 every time. Multiply by 3, multiply by 3, multiply by 3, right? Well, if I was working backwards, that'd be the same as dividing by 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3. Well, what is 1 divided by 3? Well, 1 divided by 3 is just 1/3. Well, what's 1/3 divided by 3? 1/9. Well, what's 1/9 divided by 3? 1/27. Okay, so it's pretty simpy wimpy. Okay, now to graph. Negative 3, 1/27. Whoa, 1/27. That'd be like if you cut a candy bar into 27 pieces and you ate one of them, right? You're not eating very much candy bar. Barely above 0. Looks like it's even at 0, but it's barely above 0. 1/9, you're eating 1/9 of a candy bar. You're still not very much higher. Okay, 1/3, you're eating 1/3 of a candy bar. I don't know, it's at least a little bit. Okay, now we get to 0. Oh, that's 1. Okay. Now guess what starts happening? 1 jumps to 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 jumps all the way to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bam. And 3 goes all the way to 27. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, 26, 27, all the way to the top. Okay, so you can see this is pretty steep. Now, does this happen in real life? Not really. I mean, rarely do you see one this steep. But, you know, I don't know, some things it might. What if you had the coronavirus and you hung around 2 other people? No, sorry, 3 other people, right? And now you've infected them. All right, then those 3 people hung around 3 different people. Now there's 9 people. And those 3, now there's 27. You can see how it would just go, it would blow up. Okay, that's the power of exponential growth. And now we have another equation that we've done. Okay, so I know that I didn't mention this, but example number 1 we've already done. That was the previous example. This is example number 2. I need you to have these examples written down. Okay, and stay with me. This is going to start going faster. All right, so I'm not going to do a lot of application in this assignment. I'm just going to teach you how to graph them and get them sketched out, okay? Next assignment, we're going to start applying this stuff more and talking about it, okay? So, again, how did I say to start this? We're just going to go right here. What is 0? Well, you guys already know. 2 to the 0 power is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. And I've already mentioned that, hey, this value right here is always the y-intercept. Okay, what's the pattern? The pattern is we're multiplying by 2. That's what this value tells you what you're doing. So this is your y-intercept, and this is your pattern. So in that case, it's a multiply by 2, and that's going to be that way every time. If you get that today, you get this lesson. Okay, so what do I do? Oh, well, 5 times 2 is 10, 10 times 2 is 20, 20 times 2 is 40. All right, well, what if I was going backwards? 40, 20, 10. Well, you can see the pattern. I'm dividing by 2, right? Well, what's half of 5? 2.5, right? You could go 5 halves if you wanted, or you could just take 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5. 2.5 divided by 2 is 1.25. 1.25 divided by 2 is 0.625. Pretty sure that's right. If it's wrong, I'll change it here in just a second. Okay? And so do you see how fast I did that? I started here with whatever the y-intercept was. Bam. That's my pattern. Multiply by 2, multiply by 2, multiply by 2. Work backwards. Divide by 2, 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 divide by 2. Bam, there's my graph. It goes that fast. If you understand the equation, it's really simple. Okay, then sketch. Okay, and we're going to sketch it just 1 second. I just want to double check it. Let's see if this is true. So I go, I'm going to do this one right here. Okay, so if I said y equals 5 times 2 to the third power. Well, what is 2 to the third power? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Okay, times 5, 40. Bam. Sure enough, you got it. Okay, let's do the other way. What if we did, what if I chose this one? Okay, y equals 5 times 2 to the negative 2. Well, that's the same as y equals 5 times 1 over 2 squared. 2 squared, which is the same as 1 over 4, right? 5 times 1 over 4, which equals 5/4, which equals 1.25. So my system works every time. So now let's graph it. -3, barely above half, right? So I'll go right about there. -2, 1.25, right about there. 2.5, right about there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right about there. 1 is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then I'm not going to get 40. 40 is going to be like way up here, right? Looks like you would expect, though. Pretty, sorry, I should have. It's got the tail, it's got the asymptote. Starts taking off like crazy. Exponential growth. Bam. So we're going to start cutting to the chase on this assignment. I'm going to do one more example. Why did I choose 1.4? The reason why I chose 1.4 is because I can't do it. I can't multiply by 1.4 in my head, okay? So I'm going to show you exactly how I would do this. You're going to need a calculator for this assignment. The numbers are going to start getting more real. In real life, they don't multiply by 2 or 3 or whatever. The numbers are like one. Like if you were earning 8% interest, you would multiply by 1.08. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Okay. Here's how I expect you to do the assignment. Where do we always start? We start here at 0. What is 0? It's that value, right? Oops, this is supposed to be raised to the x power. It's that value right there, 2. Okay, because if I had 1.4 raised to the 0, that'd be 1 times 2 is 2. Okay. Now, how do I figure out 1, 2, and 3? Well, I take 2 times 1.4. Tony's going to do that for us real quick. So if I could do it, I'm going to calculate it.
2.8.
Okay, 2.8 makes sense. Okay. Now she's going to take 2.8 and multiply that by 1.4.
3.92.
3.92. Now she's going to take that and multiply it by 1.4 again.
5.48.
5.48. Is there another digit?
8.
Okay, we'll just.
So 5.49.
I think if you round to the hundredths place, that's close enough. Tenths, hundredths, right? So 5.49, that works. Okay, that you probably anyway, good enough. Okay, if your table looked like that, I'd be happy with that. All right, well, what about going the other way? Well, I'm dividing by 1.4, dividing by 1.4, dividing by 1.4. So what's 2 divided by 1.4, Tony?
Point 4142.
Are you sure? 0.142. Do that again. 2 divided by 1.4.
Oh, sorry. I have 1.42. Yeah, 1.42.
1.42. Okay, divide that by 1.4.
1.02.
Divide that by 1.4.
0.72.
In the original video, I didn't show you how to do this on the calculator, so we're going to do that right now. Okay, so if I'm looking at that, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go 1.4. Then there's this button right over here. So you see that x raised to the y? That's what. So I'm going to raise that to the negative third power. So my negative button is right here. So I'm going to go 3 negative. That's how you have to do that on your calculator. And then I'm going to go equals. And I get that whole thing. But then I got to multiply it by 2. Times 2 equals 0.7273 if we rounded it. Now, this is actually way easier than the iPad calculator that I used before, because all you have to do on this is just type it in. So I'm going to go 2, and then I go parentheses, 1.4, close my parentheses, and then there's that caret right there. Okay, I'm going to raise that to the negative third power, right? So I just go negative third. See how I just type it in just exactly like it is on the board? Enter. Bam. All right, so I always make my table first. Then I say, okay, well look, my lowest number is just going to be barely above 0. My highest number is going to be, about 5.5. All right, so I take my y values and I go from 1 to 6. And then of course every time for these next ones, you're going to go from -3 to +3 on your x-axis. Okay, so I don't really build my graph until I've made my table. From there, it's pretty easy. -3, 0.72, it's barely above half, right? Or it's a bit above half. 1, barely above 1. Okay. -1 is 1.43, so it's going to be right about there. Okay. 0 is 2. 2.8. Okay, right about there. 3.92, just less than 4, right about there. And then 5.5. 3, 5.5, right about there. You're just barely starting to see the tail on this one. That's okay. Okay. If you build your graph and your points make sense to me, that's all I'm really looking for. Okay, again, you can tell it's not linear, that's for sure. Definitely has a curve to it. That works for me. This is what I'm expecting you to make your 4 practice problems look like. Okay. All right, peeps, there are your 4 problems. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to build all of your graphs, go from -3 to +3. Okay. How big you make them on the x-axis is going to depend on the numbers. You can see there that I've tried to keep the numbers pretty low. Okay, if you're not quite sure how to graph these, go back and look at my examples. Remember, how did I start? I found the y-intercept. Okay, and then we work from that. Found the y-intercept, right? That's your value when x equals 0. That's your pattern. That's your multiply pattern. You work down and then you divide, working back up. Build your chart, graph.